Are we live? Are we live? Yes, we are. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new stream. That is right, everyone. We are back with another update on the upcoming government shutdown or showdown, whatever you want to call it. I hope everyone's having a phenomenal day, night, afternoon, midnight, wherever you are in the world. I'm certainly having a great day myself on this beautiful September 15th, 2023. And just like the title says, we are going to be doing an update on the possible government shutdown that could be happening later this month. Also talk about the UAW strike, which just became official, and all that good stuff. So before we continue with today's stream, I hope you enjoy these type of streams. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you could join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. And like usual, if you want your questions, concerns, comments, whatever, for sure answer. The best way is to send a super chat through chat. Again, all support's greatly appreciated. Like usual, I'll try to read through most of the chat. And you get the point. Alright, well, it is time that we talk about the congressional stuff. We're going to talk about the auto worker strike, what I think about it, and what chat thinks about it, because there's a lot of stuff going on. Considering the fact it's the middle of September, there's quite a bit happening. So it's definitely going to be very interesting. Alright, so we got to talk about the government's shutdown, the possibility of one, because I don't think a lot of people understand what this is going to be about, and the fact that this is a real possibility. I mean, Politico is out here talking about it. You know, Mike Simpson, Homer Simpson from Idaho, he's talking about it. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I love how they use the dark, cloudy picture of Congress. The government is barreling toward a shutdown. House Republicans threaten to impeach the president, though some of them don't see the evidence. A Republican senator has a one-man blockade on military promotions with no end in sight. The Capitol's in crisis, and though Democrats control much of the government, Republican divisions are driving the chaos. So, yeah, there is a lot of garbage happening. The big one, of course, is the possible government shutdown. This is arguably this is McCarthy's last shot. If he screws this up, he's gone. And let me be 100% clear. I'm not expecting to get everything we want. But I don't want to get shafted like we did last time. When I talk about a compromise, I'm talking about we get something tangible, they get something tangible. Not just they get everything they want, and we get a promise. That's essentially what we got in the last garbage in the spring. Remember that? Oh, we're gonna do something about the worker requirement for welfare. Well, you run into the details and you realize, nah, don't know about that one. But either way, there is a lot of question marks happening about what's gonna happen. And I'm hoping that, in fact, the Republicans, the House Freedom Caucus, they too take a stand on this. Because there's no reason that the Republicans have a majority in the House and they don't do anything about it. They have the power of the purse. They can shut down the entire government and say, look, until we get something on border security, until we get something related to, defunding the DOJ or at least some investigations into it, we're going to shut down the government. I mean, I don't get why people are saying that's so controversial. It's in the Democrats' court at that point. But right now, the GOP, they're putting themselves in a bad situation. They are. I mean, at this point in time, the GOP is setting themselves up where they're just going to pass whatever the Democrats want. And thank God that we have good people like Matt Gaetz, sometimes Chip Roy when he's not on Trump derangement syndrome. Boebert will talk about she is a disaster, but there's a lot of good people in the House. You know, Matt Gaetz, Donalds, you know, Self, Ogles, Andy Biggs. There's a lot of good ones. The Senate, there's like 2. Princess Rider for 5. According to Barris, McCarthy held a meeting yesterday and essentially called out members like Gaetz and Roy for demanding that he fulfill his promises. Yeah, I mean, cussed out. I'm just getting sick of McCarthy. He started off pretty good. He was like, okay, it's not 100% of like the exact detail, but it's like, yeah, we're getting what we wanted. But then the spring stuff happened and backfired. Real Texan politics for 5. Off topic, but thoughts on Tim Ballard, Sound of Freedom for Senate. I actually support that. Because, you know, I don't know where he stands on the issues for certain things, but I do think that Tim Ballard, the guy who, he didn't make Sound of Freedom. He is the inspiration for it. He runs an anti-trafficking organization. Essentially, he'd be one of the only people to bring up this serious subject. I mean, it's like, this is a serious problem. It's happening not just, you know, in Central America. There's some happening right on our border. So it's like, why isn't more people talking about this? This isn't, you know, some conspiracy. It's true. So I would be against him. I still support Stags, but we just gotta see what happens. Boebert isn't a disaster. Oh, the stuff that came out yesterday, yeah, she is. I mean, she's good on the issues, but she's just freaking, I don't know what's happening. I guess she got divorced, but it's like, she's not taking it well. Doesn't at all. It's better than Taylor Greene, but that's not really saying much. Princess Rider for 5. What people don't understand is McCarthy supports the lawfare. It's an open secret that he gives his donors the green light to support DeSantis. I don't think he supports the lawfare. I just don't think he cares enough to do anything about it. But yeah, I do think that he is telling his donors to support DeSantis. Why would you lie about vaping when there's cameras? And not only that, in front of somebody that's pregnant? And then cause a big scene about it? It's like, what are you freaking doing? I think she wins next year, but I don't think she holds on for much longer. I mean, like, her primary opponents stink. Let's be 100% real. Those guys, oh boy, they are, yeesh, they're pretty bad. But it's like, at some point, you gotta raise a question about, should we get somebody else? Again, I don't support primarying her out now because the candidates stink. But it's a serious question. Who should primary out Boebert? I don't know. She wins by proxy Trump. Yeah, Trump's going to win that district by like 8 or whatever. That's the only reason she wins. Let's see here. Louis Gohmert is back in impeachment of Paxton. I don't get what Gohmert's doing. I mean, the fact that they're salty about him winning, it's like, come on. Gohmert, don't be like Bush. Come on, you're better than that. Don't be a freaking coward like him. Let's see. Who should primary Boebert again? I don't know. But there are some serious questions. And again, I'm not saying that she's bad in Congress. She is overall a solid congresswoman. But some of the outside stuff, it's like, it puts a bad taste in people's mouths when it comes to the issue of, like, when you say MAGA Republicans. They think of Boebert. They don't think of J.D. Vance. They don't think of Josh Hawley. They don't think of, you know, Andy Ogles. They don't think of Byron Donalds. They think of Boebert. All right. Colorado's GOP is near extinction. True. That is just sad. The fact that that's real is pretty sad. On policy issues such as inflation, energy, and the border, she argued Republicans have positions that are very good to be used for a political campaign, but they're getting smothered over by issues that are unhelpful or people don't care about. What? Wait, hold on. What issues are the Freedom Caucus talking about that doesn't matter? Real Texan politics for 5. Also, Adam Kinzinger lives in Texas now, which probably means he's here to help elect Biden and Allred to turn Texas blue in order to, quote, save democracy. True. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, I don't frickin' know. You lived in Illinois for whatever. You are a congressman, you leave. Just what are you frickin' doing? Well, why move? Rap, what the hell happened to Bobert? I haven't been following on that. So what happened was she went to a play of, or a showing of Beetlejuice, I think? It was a play, that's all I know. But it doesn't matter what it was because she caused a big stink. You know, she was vaping, making a bunch of noise, taking selfies. And there was a pregnant woman sitting right behind her. And she asked her to stop vaping, stop making a big deal. And she didn't. And, well, she got kicked out. Caused another big stink. Yeah. It's not good. Not good. What's happening in my state with the impeachment of Ken Paxton is a disgrace. Primary every Texas House Republican who voted for this shameful act. Yeah, and it's Republicans spearheading it. That is why people are freaking mad about this. It's one of those things where, okay, if you think Paxton did something bad, fine. But the way it happened was a disgrace. Like his attorney said, they're just mad that he called out Dan Phelan, or whatever his freaking name is, for being drunk. These are the Republicans we gotta deal with. Yeah, the whole Bobert situation is just bad. It's one of those things where it's like, don't act like that in public. Especially when you're a public person. Like, what are you freaking doing? I don't get what she was accomplishing with that. Let's kick out the best politicians for no reason. Well, that's the GOP. They think that, oh, if we do this, the Democrats would stop being mean. If there's one thing the GOP loves to do, it is throwing their best man overboard because they're too base to be allowed in politics. Yeah, and then Democrats have a 1-seat majority in Michigan, and they're passing some of the most extreme bills in the country. Yeah, the Democrats could have somebody that's openly corrupt, like Bob Menendez, killed somebody, and doesn't charge anybody for any crime as Attorney General, but they would never go after him because he has a Democrat to his name. They would try to primary him, but they wouldn't try to impeach him. Ben Sinnix for 2. When is the Paxton impeachment vote? I believe it's Saturday? Chat, can somebody fact check that? I believe it's within, like, the next couple days. Dems would never go after their own. They know how to shut up and line behind Joe. I don't have questions about Joe Biden. There's some weird articles being posted about, Biden shouldn't run by the New York Times, Washington Post, then frickin', suddenly Nancy Pelosi is saying stuff about Biden. It's a mess. It's just something doesn't add up, but who knows? The Texas House is like the one thing holding back Texas for passing all the best bills. Yeah, for those that don't know, this is the Texas legislature. Like, the Texas Senate's pretty good, and a lot of its statewide officials are pretty solid. The problem is the Texas House. Listen, you talk about incompetence. The Republicans, I think, have 3/5 of the Senate, or they may have a supermajority, or in the state legislature, the lower house. So, usually when you have even just a 1-seat majority, usually you have control over all committees. This asshole, this speaker who's a quote-unquote Republican, he gave Democrats some of the most powerful committee positions in the House. And that's why nothing can ever pass. They just get sent to some committee ran by a Democrat and thrown out. That's what's really going on here. I mean, think, who ever heard of this? You have basically a supermajority, and you decide to give Democrats key committee positions? I don't know. As Congress barrels towards all-out gridlock, Republicans are growing more frustrated about their lack of cohesive plan to use their threadbare House majority to stare down President Biden-hailed Democrats. Summing up the lack of GOP spending strategy, Idaho Congressman Mike Simpson, we call him Homer Simpson, said, "It's stupid. We've been seeing this coming for 3 or 4 months. I just didn't think we were dumb enough to get here." Well, here's the problem. If McCarthy wasn't meeting behind closed doors and not talking to the House Freedom Caucus, you probably would have something. This is McCarthy's fault. We're even in this situation. It's true. And think about that for a second, everybody. We knew about this for 4 months, and McCarthy has not once met with Gates, Donalds, Chip Roy, none of them about this. They're just going to do the same thing this spring. What? It's one of those things where you just wonder, you just wonder why people don't like the GOP, but they support Trump. And these idiots on Twitter, what the frick are you talking about that we won the budget battle in the spring? What are you talking about we're winning this? Can somebody tell me in chat, so far, what have we gotten with this House majority? Okay, some House investigations. All right, that's the bare minimum. Any majority can do that. I'm talking about, can somebody name a huge change to the law, to the federal government, something, a regulation, anything? Can anybody name something the House majority has done so far that's not related to investigation? Because you could do that easily. You could do that with your eyes closed. I'm talking about something. Something significant. I'm just waiting. Such a win when you pass bills which Democrats support. Yeah, they support more than Republicans. What do you think that is? When the more Democrats support a bill than Republicans, you're getting screwed. I mean, we haven't even had a serious change on the border with any vote on that. It's just the basic things. McCarthy started off so good. He was forcing votes left and right. Then suddenly it's like, no. Yeah, and the Senate came closer. Princess Rider for 2. Christie announced he will drop out if you lose to New Hampshire. Good. Anyone else's speaker would be just as unproductive as McCarthy. I disagree. I think this is more of McCarthy being an asshole than anything. It's one of those things where if he was, like, Kevin Hearn, for example, I think would do way better. Because McCarthy's always been with the Paul Ryan types. He's always been surrounded by them. I don't think he's as bad as Paul Ryan. He's far better, but that's not saying much. I just still think there's a lot of people like Paul Ryan talking in his ear. No, you don't have to appease the base. We have to compromise with Democrats. We need to win over Democrat votes. This is why the GOP can't have anything nice. And the one guy in the Senate doing a damn thing about the whole, the stuff in the Senate when it comes to Tuberville. The fact he's one of the only people doing anything about that. As Tuberville refuses to give up his holds on hundreds of military promotions, protested a Pentagon policy allowing service members time off to seek abortions. Where's this at? Where's the rest of the GOP at? And instead you get these bozos like Crenshaw saying, he is disrespectful. he is a bozo. He is terrible. He's attacking people that serve this country. No. He's just saying, Tuberville's saying, why is the federal government, when it comes to military bases, why do they have this garbage abortion policy? Is this common sense 101 that you can't think for 5 seconds? It's one of those things where you got Tommy Tuberville, Josh Hawley, Vance, and like Katie Britt in the Senate. That's it. The rest are either mediocre or just bad. I mean, why aren't more people bringing up this garbage in the military when it comes to transgender stuff, when it comes to the abortion stuff? Where is it? It's only one guy mentioning right now that I can see. It's frustrating. You know, it's one of those things where you thought we were done with this crap. We were done with the Paul Ryan types. We were done with the John Boners. But no, we're still dealing with garbage. Because why? They think it's 2000? Yeah, Katie Britt, I think Katie's a good senator. I personally think so. I think she's solid. We need more Katie Britts over somebody like Roger Wicker. McCarthy just a unipartyist. He wants to lose the House majority in 2024, so Trump can't do anything even if he wins. I don't think so. Ted Budd's good, yeah, except foreign policy. That's his problem. He stinks on that. But I can live with it, because not like Dan Crenshaw levels. Or John McCain. Yeah, it just... Chat. Do people understand why people don't show up to vote for these guys? Except a few. Even McCarthy's surprising leap towards an impeachment inquiry this week failed to quell the hard-right rebellion. It's enough to bring the two parties together in the Senate, where frustration with the House majority has created unexpected unity. Sherrod Brown said he's not signaling out Senate Republicans, many of whom are working with Democrats in government funding. That's a big problem, by the way. Freaking Mitch McConnell working with Democrats. What the hell are you doing? You're more focused on Ukraine aid than you are about East Palestine, Hawaii. What are you freaking doing? Princess Writer for 2. Ron Johnson said Mitch doesn't mess with them anymore. Mesh with them. Yeah, I think Mitch is gone after 2024. But it's one of those things where, what are the Republicans in the Senate trying to accomplish here? Oh, we're trying to be bipartisan by passing essentially Democrat bills? I mean, name one thing Republicans in the Senate have taken a stand on. All these issues except like, oh, frickin' the stuff from 4 years ago. Why is it when we were in the minority in the House, we were doing more effectiveness against the Biden administration than we are now? I just don't get it. Ron Johnson's one of the only ones doing something also. About anything. I mean, like this says here, the Senate is hardly free from snakes. One arrived on Thursday as Senator Ron Johnson procedurally protested against quote-unquote bipartisan efforts to unite 3 different spending bills on the floor, a plan telegraphed well in advance. Chuck Schumer blamed a handful of GOP senators for trying to mimic the Freedom Caucus in the House. At the moment, the chamber is in a standstill. You know, the Democrats would never be working with the Republicans. You know that, right? If the Democrats were in the same position as the Republicans, they would never even be talking with them. Just look at the Trump administration. For 4 years, they did everything they could to stall worth every advance. And the GOP saying, we must be different. the GOP has caved on every issue. Yeah, they ran on education last year, which they really didn't. They botched that one. I mean, what of the promises McCarthy made has done so far? Outside the investigations, those don't count. I'm talking about legislative action. What has been done that's been a positive development since Republicans took the majority in the House. Can people name anything? I'm just curious. I can't think of anything. They don't care, yeah. The GOP does not give a rat's ass about their voters. For whatever reason, the Democrats don't either. But at least they give them what they want. All right, you want more stimulus checks? Bam, here's stimulus checks. All right, you want, let's just say, expanding gay marriage? Bam, all right, there it is. They give their base what they want. Republicans, they don't. It's common sense. Why do you think Republicans, quote unquote, don't win anymore? I'll get into that later. Because I've been thinking about it. From when the Republicans were, quote unquote, winners, from 2010 to 2018, name one substantial change Republicans did to the country in the state legislators, the House, whatever, when it came to policy. Whenever, for example, in Michigan, when they had the governorship, the state legislature, the Supreme Court, everything, what did they do? Same thing in Pennsylvania. Same thing in Ohio, though they're getting better. Same thing in Arizona. What did they do in those years before Trump? Name one thing. I mean, I can't think of anything. Tax cuts. But that was because Trump forced it through. Because if we would have got the Paul Ryan tax cuts, oh my gosh, we would have been screwed. Rick Snyder passed legislation. Yeah, right. It's just one of those disappointing facts. I mean, what did Rick Snyder pass in Michigan? What did he pass? Rick Snyder, who, by the way, is one of the worst governors you would ever meet. Oh, wow, he appointed people in the Supreme Court when they were vacant. Good job, you did your frickin' job. I'm reading here. I don't see anything on his wiki page. I don't see a single thing. And he botched the whole Flint, Michigan stuff. Rick Snyder passed one whole piece of paper to throw into the Flint, Michigan water system to filter it. Yeah, that's Rick Snyder. He did nothing. He had also endorsed Biden. So why are people worshipping him? Okay, he won an election. But these idiots don't understand. What did he do with that mandate? He went down the toilet and did nothing. The only Republican Party that did anything of note in a swing state from 2010 to 2018 was Scott Walker and Robin Vos in Wisconsin. The only ones to do anything in Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, not North Carolina, they're fine. Florida before 2016. That kind of, yeah, Florida's not that bad, but Arizona. Republicans in Wisconsin were the only ones that did anything. Prince Strider for 5. Republicans don't care about lawfare against their own, but suddenly America's going on hell because a Democrat is on, yeah, that certain website that I will not name. It's unbelievable. Yeah, people seem to forget. Scott Walker fundamentally changed the state of Wisconsin for the better. People just, they say, oh, the right to work stuff. Do people understand what Scott Walker really did in Wisconsin? This wasn't just right to work. These people are saying, oh, it's right to work. Scott Walker took on the corrupt teachers union that was laundering millions of dollars to the Democrats. And he killed their influence. He passed abortion bans for later term abortion. He passed several pieces of legislation that helped turn Wisconsin more red. And guess what? He was rewarded with a landslide victory in 2012 in the recall and 2014. 2012 was a high turnout election. He won in a presidential year, and I know that was in like June or whatever, but still. Scott Walker did conservative stuff, fairly conservative for quote-unquote purple state. And guess what? He got rewarded with it. Big time. He only went down tubes after the failed presidential run in a certain, I'm not even gonna get into it. Foxconn. Go look up Foxconn. Foxconn was the disaster for Scott Walker. Walker lost in 2018 in a blue wave. At that time, he ran his course. Everyone's like, okay, we're not excited for him anymore. He's been here for a while. It's a blue wave. All of it. Yeah. I mean, he barely lost in 2018, but go look up what happened in that election. You'll find some funny stuff on Milwaukee. That's what I will say. Blue wave. Yeah, he lost in a blue wave. Barely. Yeah. Okay, let's move on from Trump. Oh, really? He turned Colorado deep blue. What? It was already shifting Democrat before Trump. Bush barely won it. Then McCain got killed. So did Romney in the state. Arizona, same deal. Well, Scott Walker got shafted by his advisors. And take a guess who they work for now. Scott Walker's people. The people that sunk his campaign. Just take a freaking guess. Why he did terrible. Or, yeah, why he got crushed. Trump alienated independents. Bullshit. Bullshit. Here's what happened. A lot of those independents became Republicans because of Trump. That's factual. Without Trump, Colorado was still blue. It was. They barely won it in 2014 in a red tsunami in like a 12% turnout election. That was the first sign shit was going down. All right, you think Trump costed so many seats? Okay, let's just look at the Senate elections from then. All right. Trump costed us everything. All right. We're going to look at every Senate election in Trump's term, in his time as president or the head of the GOP. All right. Okay, let's just go over this. 2016. 2 Senate elections went to the Republicans, or Democrats. One was Illinois. Do you really expect this? Do you really think this is Trump's doing? That he cost us Illinois? This is why Matt Kirk won. He won by just a couple 100,000 votes. Not even 100,000 votes. 60,000. With only 49% turnout. He factually got 500,000 more votes than he did in 2010. But guess what happened? Turnout was higher. And he got crushed. It was a presidential year. And I'm actually fine with Matt Kirk because he did represent Illinois pretty well. New Hampshire. Just look at this. Yeah, she won by a lot, Kelly Yacht, but guess what? Guess what happened this election? Go look it up. It was a very close election, and there was a large third-party vote. That's true. Just, hey, look at this. Third-party vote. Okay, well, okay, you're gonna blame Trump on that one? When she won, yeah, she won a landslide, but in a very low turnout election? Just look at this. I mean, what else am I supposed to say? 2018. This is where these never-Trumpers failed to even mention that, yes, we lost Nevada and we lost Arizona, but we picked up 4 states. 4. And all 4 of them, you could say Trump won them for the GOP. It's factual. He barnstormed these states for the GOP. Florida in particular. He did like 5 rallies at the last second for Rick Scott. And he got him over the edge against one of the more toughest Democrats to beat in Bill Nelson. The 2 races they lost was Nevada, which again, it was a higher turnout election than it was in 2012. Surprisingly. But number 2, Dean Heller just sucked. And in 2019, 2012, he only got 46% of the vote. Are you really going to blame that on Trump when he did worse this time around? When he won on a fluke last time? Arizona. This was just, you're really going to blame Trump for this? When Trump never even got involved in this primary. If Trump got involved and endorsed Kelly Ward, we have a different story. And McSally ran a terrible campaign and, well, let's just say very intriguing things happened after the election. Just, yeah. Some very sad things happened. But you're going to blame Trump on that one. Because this was a Republican establishment candidate. So the 2 races this year that they lost, really? And 2020, we flipped Alabama, which we're not going to get into. All right, Arizona. This is 100% Doug Ducey's fault. Trump outran McSally by almost 3. She was the incumbent, and Doug Ducey decided to appoint her. Think about that. He decided to appoint Martha McSally. And that went swell for her, didn't it? When Trump outran her by she outran her by 2%. Colorado, really? Cory Gardner in 2014 won because of low turnout. He did. He only got 900,000 votes. In 2020, he had 1.4 million. This was a turnout election. That's what happened. 2014, nobody voted. 2020, a lot of people voted on both sides. And then we get to the one everybody loves talking about, Georgia. Are you seriously going to believe that Trump magically caused David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler to lose? Really? When guess what? We have proof that the areas that Trump did rallies for the 2 were their best performing parts in the state compared to the first round. If Trump did many rallies for those 2, and or Doug Collins was a candidate over Loeffler, we would be talking about Republicans having the Senate seat. Doug Collins would have won. And Georgia and David Perdue, well, he lost by 40,000. I mean, I don't get what people are saying about this. I just don't get it. It was a turnout problem. It was. We have precinct data to show turnout collapsed the most in northern Georgia and the more conservative parts. That's what happened. So all of these Senate elections, how can you chalk any of this as Trump's fault? How? 2016, Illinois was flipping. Whoop-de-frickin-do. That's not Trump's fault. New Hampshire, it was a very close election. Trump did better than Romney there. 2018, we flipped 4 Senate seats, 2 of which were 100% because of Trump. Missouri and Florida, where Trump barnstormed the states for them, for those candidates. 2020, Arizona was picked by Doug Ducey. He costed us that. Colorado, it was flipping no matter what. Georgia, both those seats were because of the GOP's incompetence. When it came to the stimulus checks, when it came to turnout. Ronald Reagan won re-election. Whoop-de-frickin-do. This isn't the same country as when Reagan was president. When Reagan was president, the country was like 90%, or not 90%, it was close to like 80% white. Now it's what? I mean, what is it now? 60? It's factual. If the demographics of America were the same as they were 50 years ago, or 40, Trump would have won easily. I mean, it's just some of these people, they don't care. You could tell them, show them statistical data to show there was big turnout problems in 2018 and 2022 for Republicans in certain states. And they blame on Trump. Maybe, hear me out for a second here, look at the new polling data. You know how usually in these adult polls or registered voter polling, that's usually Democrat favorable. If you know what I'm talking about, there are screenings, which means what type of voters are we talking about? Adults are just those that they're above the age of 18. They're possibly not even able to vote. Because for whatever reason. But they're an adult. Registered voter means they are registered to vote. That doesn't mean they're likely to vote. Likely voter just means you're likely to vote. Usually Democrats do better in the adults and registered voter polling. Because, traditionally, those have been the higher turnout elections. Though those are the other voters that they would vote in a very high turnout election. Imagine younger voters, imagine minorities, etc. Usually that's Democrat skewed. Right now, in a new Reuters poll, or whatever it was, there's several adult polls that came out just the past couple of days. Trump is winning that group. But he is tied in the likely voter screen. You know what that's indicating? You know what's that saying? That may indicate that higher turnout elections may help Trump going forward. It just shows that there is a realignment happening where lower turnout voters, lower propensity voters, they're shifting Republican, but mostly towards somebody like Trump. While high propensity voters are shifting towards Democrats. That's what's happening. We could absolutely see Trump possibly win because of high turnout. Republicans for 30 years, they only won because of low turnout. You think I'm kidding? Let's go over all these midterms since 1994. All right? Let's go over them. All right. All right, excuse me. Let me just get this up. All right. In 1994, there were 70 million votes. Republicans won the House majority for the first time since like 1950. Right? In 1992, there were 97 million votes. Republicans got crushed. Go to 1996. It was a higher turnout election than 1994, and look what happened. 1996, 90 million votes, 70 million votes, a 20 million vote increase, less than it was last time, and back in 92. Republicans lost the House vote, but they kept the majority. Just keep looking. Let's just keep going. 1998 was an embarrassment for the GOP, and this one's a bit skewed because you did have the impeachment stuff, but it was an extremely low turnout election, like 66 million votes. That's it. But you could say the impeachment stuff really hurt the GOP. It backfired. All right. 2000. Lost seats, 98 million votes compared to 66 million. Just keep going. Just let's keep going. In 2002, this is another outlier. Because guess what? This was right after 9/11 in 2002. It was 74 million votes. Republicans gained in the House. That is a fluke. That had more to do with the fact of 9/11. And people were rallying behind the president. And the Democrats, well, they were iffy. I shouldn't say they were incompetent. Just they were seen as not as like trustworthy as on national security at the time. I don't know how you say it, but you get the point. Right? 2002 to 2004. Republicans gained the House. But again, the 9/11 impact. Then you had 2006. It was a high turnout election. All right? Far more than it was in 2006. 80 million votes. Republicans actually did better, raw vote-wise, in 2006 than 2002. But look what happened. They got walloped. You could just keep going on and on and on, and it shows you the same thing. 2008, Republicans, it was a very high turnout election. They got murdered. Absolutely killed. And then you got 2010, which everybody talks about. 86 million votes. It was a slightly higher turnout election, but down from recent elections. 2012. I can just keep going. Large turnout election, Republicans lose seats. Very low turnout election. It goes on. This is what I'm saying, everybody. For years, high turnout elections have benefited the Democrats. Because that usually means younger voters. That means, Democrat voters. But now you got a polling out here where likely voters are actually tied, but registered voters, adults, that's Republicans, that's Trump's best polling. I'm just saying that there is a lot of question marks happening with the polling. You go back 50 years, it's the same thing. I know people can't read it, but just go look at it yourselves. Just go read it. I just showed you guys an example where from 92 to 2008, higher turnout elections usually meant the Republicans got slapped in the congressional elections, when lower turnout elections meant the opposite. That changed under the Trump era. It did. Now, again, I'm not saying it's 100%, but there's definitely something happening with turnout. It usually meant Democrats automatically had an advantage. I don't think so anymore. I think higher turnout actually helps Republicans because of shifting coalitions. Because college-educated voters, they usually vote all the time. And already they turn out on high rates. They're shifting Democrat. White working class voters, Hispanics, they vote at far less rates. Now they're shifting Republican, especially towards Trump. We just got to see what happens. But there's definitely something going on with the shifting realignment of the parties. You go back 50 years, 40 years, same thing. Higher turnout usually meant Republicans got killed. Lower turnout, they means they usually outperformed. This would also explain why Republicans underperformed in 2022. Yeah. I think it's possible. It's one of those things where we just gotta see. But if the theory holds true, it's one of those things where I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. It's just a lot of question marks are upcoming about the future of the GOP. What route are we going? The route of like the Trump party, the Youngkin party, Zeldin, Vance, Hawley? Or are we going to go the route of frickin' Nikki Haley? Who would want a 40% turnout election just to maybe win? I'm just saying that in the past, as Republicans, think about this for a second. Trump got more raw votes than Obama did in 2008 when he killed McCain. It was like 1 million more votes. Or actually 4 million, actually, now I think about it. 2008 presidential election. But back then it was impossible. It was impossible for a Republican to get above 65 million. Or even 62 million. Well, Democrats, they were actually getting more and more people to turn out. I mean, you can look this up at basically any of the states, or actually the national results. McCain actually only did 3 million votes worse than Bush did in 2008. And actually 10 million more votes than Bush did in 2000. But he got crushed. And Mitt Romney, he did slightly better than McCain, but it was a lower turnout election. There's definitely a big question mark happening about, is this a trend we're noticing or what? It's definitely fascinating. John McCain was a true leader. Yeah, right. All right. Anyways, folks, if you got any more super chats, any more questions, concerns, whatever, send them now because I think we got it through everything. I'm hoping that we see more polling data to indicate, is my theory true? That lower propensity voters, they're possibly causing the reason why Trump's doing so good in the polling. Definitely a big question mark. Harry, did you see that press conference in New York City with AOC and the other clown congressman getting booed? Yeah, I saw that. It's freaking hilarious. Let's see here. Did you hear about the talks between Trump, Angela McArdle, chairwoman of the Libertarians, and Jim Clymer, chairman of the Constitutional Party? Rumors they will endorse. Really? Listen, if Trump gets the endorsement of those two parties, ooh, that could be intriguing. That could be very, I mean, well, I don't know what to think about that. How did Indiana go from R+20 to D+1? I'm pretty sure they got hit the hardest with the recession for some reason. I think it was Indiana. Yeah, but anyways, folks, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this stream, smash the like button down below. Subscribe. Share with your friends. Hit that little bell. Follow the social media accounts in the description down below. and of course, join the channel today. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next stream, video, or whatever. Hold on. Wait, rap. What's up? Indiana lost the most jobs. Yeah, it was Indiana, I think, right? They got hit the hardest. Can anybody know about why? Facts. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very intriguing next couple of months. Can I get a true and honest opinion on Haley's war in Pakistan? What? Did you hear anything about that? But yeah, thank you all so